Hi guys, welcome back to Miscellaneous Pleasures. This smile on my face is because of the fact that India just beat England about 2.5 hours ago in the third Test match at the Narendra Modi Stadium, Ahmedabad. Well, I mean, it's an historical. It was a historic Test match, and the result has also been a historic one. I'm not really sure of how many Test matches have finished, how many uh, how many international Test matches that is played between the top eight sides or the Test playing nations essentially have finished within 2 days in the last. I mean, in the last how many ever years the Test match has been played. And I mean, I'm sure there have been some Test matches that would have finished in 2 days, but then this is the first one in my living memory that has. I'm sure that there have been Test matches, even in my living memory, that have finished in the third day, which have possibly had some sort of a rain or something like that. So could be argued as a similar result as this Test match. But yeah, I mean, actually finishing in 2 days, I don't remember. Um, I mean, I will come to the Test match, not the Test match, but I will come to the point about the pitch and in general the arguments that have been happening about it. But before that, I have to talk about the Test match in itself. Uh, I mean, the difference between the last Test match and this one is that this is actually, in my opinion, a better pitch, a better Test match playing condition than the second Test match. And England possibly had the best start that they could ever dream of in this Test match by actually winning the toss. Uh, I don't believe that this Test match is like the toss in this Test match was all that important, but from the perspective of the viewers and the England fans, English team, even the Indian team and the fans, like toss is something that is considered important in these conditions, and if not for the actual advantage, at least for the mental advantage, I think England had the best possible start by actually winning the toss and getting the bat first. But then the lack of batting skill to play spin shown through really. I mean, even the Indian batting was so poor, but then I mean, I can't even sit here and sort of criticize India's any performance, especially considering the fact that we won the game under 2 days. I literally haven't seen this before in my life, so I mean, that's the deal. Um, yeah, um, I mean, Axar Patel, absolutely fantastic bowling. Um, I mean, I literally said that he had to play the first Test match, and unfortunately, he got injured, so he couldn't play the first Test match. But the fact of the matter is, Akshay Patel is the best possible replacement that India could have had for the Jadeja injury, and he delivered. I mean, I expected him to deliver, and he delivered, and I'm really happy about that. Ashwin got 400. Ashwin touched 400. Massive congratulations to him. I mean, he has been my favorite Indian bowler for this past decade, really. I mean, there was just something about his spin bowling, and like I just loved watching it. Uh, and this is I'm talking about 2010 IPL, 2011 IPL, and then the Indian national team. Um, so yeah, 400 Test wickets. Isn't he 401 or 402 now? And he touched 400 in like 76 or 77 innings. That's just outrageous. Second fastest to so great achievement of that. I do hope that, I mean, let's consider the fact that he may play Test match for 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. Uh, 3 to 4, and he'd play about 15 Test matches. I'm not really sure how many Test matches India play, to be fair, because there's obviously the fourth Test match coming up, and there's obviously like we are touring, I think, England. If I'm not mistaken, Australia coming to India, and then there's obviously the next cycle of World Test Championship that will happen for the next 2 years. So we will definitely play a good amount of Test matches before he retires. Should be about 20, 25. And even if he stays fit for about 15 of them, I hope that he touches 500. That's my point. Like, if he touches 500, then obviously he'll be the second highest Indian wicket taker in Test matches, because Budgie is in like 420 or something, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I do hope that happens. Batting wise, I mean, Rohit Sharma, like, absolutely fantastic. Like, I can't praise Rohit Sharma enough. Uh, Especially in the sort of, I mean, ever since he has come opening in Test matches, he has been brilliant. He has been brilliant, and he has done what I expected him to do, really. I mean, it's not like he has done something unexpected. The thing with Rohit Sharma has always been the fact that he did not score any runs in Test matches. And I mean, he was playing number five, number six, number four, not number four, but number five and number six predominantly. And he just wasn't delivering. And it was about time that he was given the opportunity to open the innings, because, I mean, if you're an opener in one day in T20, then surely you can. Surely it's not the worst decision to make him open in Test matches. That's my point. So he was given that opportunity and he is delivering now. What else? I mean, I can't really talk about this Test match. I mean, there's nothing really to talk about the Test match, because the lack of activity in this Test match was sort of oxymoronic. Not oxymoronic, but then it's more contradictory sort of thing. Where, I mean, if a Test match finishes in 2 days and 30 wickets have gone in 2 days, and about 400 runs, less than 400 runs scored, if I'm not mistaken, or about 400, anyways. The point is, so there's obviously been a lot of things that have happened, but then I don't really have anything to talk about. I mean, Axar Patel, brilliant. Ashwin, very good. Those runs that he scored, also very helpful. Rohit Sharma, absolutely fantastic. Our batting and their batting was just woeful. I mean, Zach Crawley, good innings, very good innings actually in the first innings. And then there were a couple of contributions in the second innings, but nothing really to note of. So yeah, that's the third test. I mean, this test will, in my opinion, go down in history for multiple reasons: the new ground, the capacity of the ground, ping ball test, and obviously the fact that it finished in 2 days. I mean, this is the funny thing, right? I mean, India, classically speaking, won a lot of these kind of test matches in the earlier part of 2010 decade, where we just, I mean, we obviously lost to England 2-1 in that sort of a ridiculous test series where Kevin Peterson scored those runs in Mumbai, and then we just got destroyed by Panesar and so on, and all the reverse swing from Jimmy Anderson and stuff like that. But then we obviously beat South Africa 4-0, if I'm not mistaken, Australia 4-0. We beat Australia again once, and then we beat England again 4-0. Like, we did all these things. And in all these test series, there were definitely test matches that finished within 3 days and 4 days, completely one-sided games. But then to actually have a test match finish in 2 days is just unbelievable for me. And I mean, that's really the thing, right? I mean, about test matches nowadays. Like, I feel like in the last, especially in the last sort of 7 to 8 years, it has been especially noticeable that the test match batting quality has decreased rapidly. And when I say test match batting quality, I don't mean the batting quality of all formats. I mean test matches, and I mean test matches specifically because in test matches, it's not just about scoring runs. Yes, obviously you have to score the runs, and essentially a game where the guy or the team that scores most runs wins. Test matches is no different. But then in test matches, you sort of the skill that is almost as much important as scoring runs is to stay, and not be out. I mean, you have 450 overs to bat, right? Like, four innings, 450 overs. As a team, you have to bat about 120 in each innings, and then get the other team out in as soon as possible, essentially, and win the game. When you have to bat 120 overs and you have about seven batsmen, and I'm not going to consider the lower order and the tailenders, so every batsman, essentially, if you think about it, has to only bat about 80 balls. 80 into 7 is 560. That's 94, 95 overs. And then even if you add about an over each for the lower order, that gets to you about 100. And even if you want to divide further, then I would say that each batsman on an average has to bat only about 90 balls. If you think about it that way, then 90 balls is not really anything. But then the problem comes is this is just a scenario where I've just divided the number of balls by number of batsmen, and it very rarely happens that each one of us has a good day or an average day, and each one of us happens to play those 90 balls. It very often happens that there are two or three batsmen who get out within the 40 ball range, and then there are some people who have to bat about 200, 250. And that 200, 250 is very important. What used to happen in the older days where test matches used to be drawn was that people were actually capable of playing 200 balls, and there were three or four people like that in your team. So, I mean, even if you take the classic four of Tendulkar, Lakshman, Ganguly, and Dravid, test matches used to be drawn because of people like them who could bat and bat and bat and bat. And if anything, you definitely not lose a game. That sort of a scenario would pop up. And similarly for other teams. Nowadays, it's more about runs because of the T20 format and ODI, and you're looking at runs perspective rather than staying in the sort of play perspective. And the general sort of discipline that is required to play test matches is just gone. And that's why you see a lot of results, which are really a good thing for the game. I mean, if at the end of 5 days, you're going to tell a person who doesn't watch cricket, you're going to tell him that after 5 days there are no result, or it's a drawn game, and it so happens that about 50-60% of the games end in draws, you'll be like, why bother? And because of the fact that test matches are now getting results, I'm definitely a lot more excited to watch test matches than limited overs cricket, simply because of the ebbs and flows in the game, as well as the fact that there's obviously a result at the end of most games. But then this has created this sort of a balance, right? Like, the batting quality, in my opinion, for test matches has decreased, and that has actually improved the results. And the problem with that, obviously, is also the fact that test matches like these, where spin batting quality has decreased to such a limit, to such a level, that people can't survive 50 overs on a turning track. I mean, what the hell? Like, I'm not saying that. I mean, I think this sort of a pitch will definitely yield a result even in the older days. But then it wouldn't be the case that teams can't survive 50 overs. And that's my sort of a problem. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I just want India to win. I mean, I don't really care about how or what exactly is happening with the pitch or what the players are doing or something like that. But then, as a person who loves test matches, I would want to see better batting display. And this is when I come to the pitch. Like, I obviously have a problem with all these English experts and pundits from other countries, even India, to be fair, saying that dust bowls that we create are not really good pitches, and that sort of a thing. Like, I'm not really a fan of it. I mean, it's kind of obvious. Like, you have to be able to play spin. Like, I don't understand. Like, spin is part of an art, like swing is, and if you can't play spin, it shouldn't mean that you're going to blame the pitches. Like, even the Chennai track, first test match, second test match, I think the first test match was a bad pitch, but then nobody really commented on it. I thought it was a bad pitch for the simple reason that it almost felt like winning the toss was really important. The second test match, not really, because I think the second test match would have finished exactly the same way. The prime example of that is the third test match, because in third test match, England got to bat first and couldn't do anything about it. And I mean, they would have lost in a much nicer way if they had batted first in Chennai, but then they would have definitely lost the second test. So that's the thing. Like, these people sort of criticize the pitches and not really look at their own performances. Like, this is not to say that Indian batsmen are not good at, or they are good at playing spin. They are rubbish, but then they're obviously better than the English. That's the whole point. But yeah, coming back to the original point that I was making, I just think that test matches should, or the pitches that are prepared for test matches should be sort of batsman and bowler sort of a contest, and not just a batsman contest or a bowler contest. Like, if it's a bowler contest, then obviously it will definitely yield a result like this test match. If it's a batsman contest, then there is a very likely chance that it ends in a draw, because you wouldn't be able to get 20 wickets. But the problem is, like, obviously the game is sort of batsman skewed in one day and T20s. Like, I would definitely want grounds to be bigger, and I love T20 games that have like a 160, 170 target rather than a 220 target. Like where even if 220 stays, I'm not really excited by those games. Like, yeah, I mean, it's momentarily it's fun, but then I would rather watch a 160 game 40 times out of the 60 IPL games that happen. So that's the thing. And similarly, even in test matches, the problem is in test matches, I don't think it's a batsman skewed game. Like, I just feel like there are pitches, majority of the pitches actually, even in the 2018 Australia series, even to an extent in this Australia series that India had, uh, and the first test match in the England series right now, where I feel like test matches are almost always toss dependent. Like, if you win the toss, if it's a, let's say, a batting sort of track, it's going to degrade over time. Then you bat first, get about 300. I mean, nobody really ever thinks about 400 or 500 nowadays. You get about 300, and then get the opposition out for about 250, 260 on a good sort of day, and then give them a target of again a 250 or a 270, and then hope that your bowlers win you the game. And they almost always do. But then it's almost always, as I said, bat first and win the game sort of thing. Like, that happened a lot in the 2018 Australia series, and to an extent it also happened in this series that India played in Australia. But and that actually happens a lot in test matches, because in test matches there's obviously a lot of degrading and things like that. So batting first is going to have an advantage. The problem is, I'm going to connect the first thing that I said in this video to now. It's the drop in batting quality, drop in the skill playing against spin, the drop in patience levels, drop in sort of change in mentality, not drop, change in mentality. What all that has meant is that that has actually made the scenario that I just talked about, where bat first and win the game. Like, if you're batting in the fourth innings, if you don't have the technique that used to be there, if you don't have the technique and the skill to match the score that the team got in the first innings in your second innings, or in your first innings, batting second, then you're definitely going to lose the game, and that's what's really been happening. So that's another point. So yeah, I mean, anyways, these are all things that I would want to talk about in lengths, much more length, but I have other things to do. So talking of this India versus England series, I mean, India have to win the next game, because there is no way I'm accepting an Indian loss, and most definitely not an Indian draw. Like, I don't want to draw against England in Ahmedabad. Fourth test. I'm not really sure when it is starting. I think it must start, I think, on March 4th or 5th or something like that, because this test match obviously should have finished on 28th. And even if you give about a 3-day gap, then 4th of March. So I'm guessing the next test will start on 4th or 5th of March. I didn't check the schedule. Going into that test match, India obviously, I would love to see Mayank Agarwal in the team. because I just think that he just got dropped for no reason from the side. Like, I mean, yeah, he had poor performances in Australia and a series before that in New Zealand. But then in Indian conditions, he's still, I think, our best opener, better than Rohit Sharma. Like, Rohit Sharma has been getting runs and crucial runs at that. But then I think Mayank Agarwal is much more solid. Gill, I think Gill, there's still time for Gill. I mean, I don't really have any problems with him. I mentioned that once, I think, before in the preview for this test series. So I would love to see him, but then Gill hasn't performed badly. Like, I mean, he has obviously not scored even a 50 in this test series, but then I feel like dropping him would sort of be a confidence, sort of harming his confidence really, and there is no other batsman that could be dropped. So there is very less chance that Mayank Agarwal plays the fourth test. But I hope that he does because that would be fun to see, and I hope that he plays because I know that he will score runs. He's also this Ranji guy. This is one thing, right? Like Indian batting team is poor at playing spin nowadays, in test matches especially, because nobody plays Ranji Trophy. And if you had played a lot of Ranji Trophy, then I think you would be good at it. Like Pujara is. Mayank Agarwal would be because he is sort of like this Ranji Trophy, a person who got into the side because of his Ranji performances. Make no mistake. So that's one of the reasons also that I want Mayank Agarwal in the team. And I think he would be a brilliant player of spin. Kohli is all right. Rohit Sharma is all right. Rahane is just average. Pant, I mean, he is an attacking sort of mindset player. Like he's not solid. So I mean, Gill, I won't really judge his technique because he's very young. So if you take all the batsmen, I mean, there's just Pujara who is good at spin because he plays Ranji Trophy. So that's another thing that is sort of harming Indian players' spin sort of skill because in the olden days, I'm sure that a lot of people, I mean, if you take your Sehwags and Gambhirs and the, the Holy Trinity and Ganguly that I was talking about earlier, and even other players like Yuvraj Singh, like these people actually played a lot of Ranji games and all the sort of domestic things that happen in India. So they obviously played spin better than most people in the world. Right now, that's not the case because Indian batsmen don't really play Ranji Trophy. Like they don't have the time to play Ranji Trophy. So why would they? So there's also that. Um, so yeah, that's all for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Please do share your thoughts on this test match and the test match series, the test series in general, and also your thoughts on the pitch. Is there even any debate about the pitch in this game? Like, whatever your thoughts are. Yeah, do share them. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.